All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Dynamics Corner. You know, Brad, one thing I did recently is got my LASIK done, so I don't wear my glasses no more. No more reflection of this episodes. One thing I did notice, though, that it takes a lot of time. I spent more time in preparation leading up to the LASIK, and then the whole thing was only like, 3 minutes max. And I was done, out the door. But which is very fitting that we're going to talk about things that you can do to prepare. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. So I'm your co-host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode was recorded on September 5th, 2025. Kris, LASIK. You have to watch out for a little while because you're going to have those ghost glasses. I didn't see you pushing up in this episode. I didn't notice it, but hopefully that goes away. Hopefully your sight... you have some improvement with your site there with the LASIK. It's amazing what they can do with technology. And just like that, we have a lot of amazing individuals in our community. And with us today, we had the opportunity to speak with one. And we also had the opportunity to speak with that individual to an important topic. We had the opportunity to talk about 10 tips for moving from GP, Great Plains, to Business Central. And with us today, we were joined by Microsoft MVP, David Laster.
David.
You think so?
Good. I know so. Good afternoon. Good
afternoon.
I really like that room.
It's his little
shop. Is that an
shop.
American flag painted on the wall?
It is. Actually, yeah, that's my door. Yeah, here. This goes out to the yard. So that's my patio. I got a fire pit. That's where I do all my thinking, actually. It's sitting right there.
Nice.
But I like the wall because I see the blue around the window. And
that's the plan.
Is that new, or was that on there last time and I just didn't notice it? I'm old, so it could be.
I'm getting there too, friend. No, that's been there. Oh my gosh, since I built the shed, probably 21 years ago, maybe 22 years ago.
You built it
part
from
of the
scratch?
design. Oh, the whole thing. The whole thing.
Dude.
Even the trusses that you can't see up there. Oh yeah, this thing is storied, I gotta say.
We have to sit down. Well, when we get together, when I come up, it seems like we always have hit or miss because we and hope nobody's listening, but we try to get too many people together at the same time, and we can never get anybody together.
It can be hard. It can be hard.
So
yeah.
Now I'm drawing a line, putting a stake, drawing a line in the sand, putting a stake in the ground. What do they say?
We're getting together. We're gonna do it.
Planting your flag.
We're doing it next time. Which is good. No, it's great. I like that little shed. And I didn't know that you were in a shed. See, we have to hear that. I thought that it was a room, but I like that.
I think he had mentioned that last time when we first had you, David. I think I was like, "What you look?" I think it was like during winter or something. It was cold. You had like maybe a vest on. I think at that time.
Probably.
You look like you're outside.
That's not uncommon though for up north. Because
that's true.
I used to wear vests and sweatshirts and stuff in the house as well too. The heat is expensive, and it gets cold. So
it does. I have an infrared heater that I actually close this door off, and I use this door right here in the winter time to go in and out.
Okay.
It's locked up right now because that's where my car is, but. Yeah, and then I got an infrared heater, and it heats it. It's perfect in here, like about 62, even overnight. So the whole thing is insulated.
62 is perfect. It's so funny.
Whole thing is insulated.
If you're in the north, 62 is nice and warm. That's perfect.
I have my house set to 75 when I'm home,
and it's cold for
78 when I'm not here. And I can honestly say there's been times that. Do you have air in there? There's been times that I've been cold at 75. But then when I go back north, like I was just up there, I just came back, it's 64 degrees, and I'm like, this is great. When I come down here, 75 is freezing.
I think you get used to that, right? Because like for us out here in the Pacific Northwest, anything above 80 is too hot. It's just too hot. It has to be between 68 and 75. That is the sweetest spot. But anything above that, like gets to 80, it's like everyone just complains how hot it is.
It's the sad state.
Yeah,
We were all born to be outdoors. So
exactly.
whatever the
I think
temperature
so.
is, we really
I
should
think
be
so.
outdoors a lot. Hence
I
my,
think so.
garden office, honestly, is I really enjoy having
I
Yeah.
the
well
wide swings in
soon.
temperature and of course rain, snow, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll have a new office set up north pretty soon too. So I'll
Cool.
hopefully, maybe when I reveal it or unveil it. See, I can't even talk. It's
Mm.
we never do episodes on Fridays. So
Mm.
Here we are.
this is the reason why, and we'll have a big a reveal. So, but with that, I've been looking forward to this conversation, and it's timely, it's relevant, it's all of the above. Before we jump into it, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you. David Laster is my name. I've been doing the Microsoft Dynamics ERP thing for over 25 years and love it. As you can see, I do it from my shed here. It comes from just about every angle, but I really put a lot of my time and energy into helping people set the ERP up right, ultimately to drive the reporting impact, the analytics that are the end result of doing it all the right way, in a clean way, organized fashion. So I manage a team of folks that are really smart, most of them way smarter than I am, that are developers, that are functional folks, that span GP, Power BI, Business Central. Just really love what I do every day working at Graybach up here in the Northeast, north of Boston.
Excellent, excellent. And you're doing it right. You always surround yourself with people that are smarter than you.
Yeah, that's
true.
One, you can get things done, and two, you can learn quite a bit. I do believe you become what you surround yourself with. You really do. You become your environment. So if you surround yourself with good people, you become a good person. If you surround yourself with bad people, you become a bad person. And everyone can use the definition. But no, you have some great experience, and this is I have some hopes to discuss with you about a topic that it was surfaced years ago. When we first spoke with you, it started to murmur quite a bit. But now over this past year, I've seen a lot of traction on this topic and a lot more people paying attention to the topic and executing this topic. And that is the GP to BC migration, or the GP to BC reimplementation, or whatever you'd like to phrase it, but moving from GP to Business Central is something that's been quite popular. And with it, I was hoping to get ready. Can I say what it is? David Laster's top 10 tips. I always would say top 10, but it could be more, could be less. Okay. But David Laster's top 10 tips, setting the bar for you for moving from GP to Business Central. But can you, before we get into that, for those that may not be aware, what's going on with GP?
GP it works. It's a fantastic product. It's widely used. It's trusted. It's stable. It's accessible. But what's happening with Great Plains is that the Microsoft has announced that their future dollars, investments, and focus is going to be in cloud-based technologies, and that's not what Great Plains is. So they have announced the end of life for Dynamics GP. In terms of getting new stuff, like getting new year-end updates to help run your payroll, right? If you don't need certain compliance-based functionality like that, then what's going on with GP, could last you and your business a little bit longer, and you can maybe potentially postpone, I think, the inevitable of going to the cloud in some way, shape, or form with your ERP system or your accounting system, whatever it is you use. But a lot of people are very interested because, a whole generation has passed in a lot of ways from when Great Plains was implemented, for a lot of companies in the 90s. And it's not a replacement, it's a new journey. It's a continuation of the journey that your business may have started back then, just using much more modern technologies and approaches to really getting your business to the most optimal place that you can be. So Great Plains will work. It is working, but there's a new thing in town, from the Microsoft side, and it's definitely worth taking a look at and learning about, and not getting bent out of shape that there's change coming, because the more we embrace that change, the more we can actually do good. We can find some efficiencies. We can maybe solve some problems that are real headaches, and we just look the other way when our day-to-day is upon us.
Is there a date? Was there a date? The end of life?
Yeah, it's 12/31 of 2029, so we're about 4 years out, a little over 4 years out from right now.
So with that, you hit a key point. So GP or Great Plains, all these names keep changing with Microsoft, but it was originally Great Plains. Now it's GP. Has the end of life, which basically means, as you had mentioned, it ends the product support. They're not going to make new updates. You're not getting to get enhancements, but it doesn't mean that it will stop working on that day. So the panic that I've heard and had conversations where, well, it's the 12 of 29, it will just stop working. That's not going to be the case. Just like I know individuals using Navision version 2009 and even earlier still, and that stopped and went out of support 15 years ago. I don't even remember how long ago it went, but it was a very, very long time ago. But those, as you had mentioned, are looking to do a new journey. They have to, they're looking to move. It seems to be a good progression to move from GP to Business Central. And there are differences between the applications, and there's things to consider when you're moving from one application to the other. As well as, like you said, you can get some improvements. You get a chance to reevaluate your business process, and also maybe take advantage of some different technologies that may not be in the application that you're using. So, with that, anybody that's
like Copilot, right, Brad? Take advantage of Copilot.
Take advantage of Copilot. I don't think GP will have Copilot if it's on premise. And then
I've been waiting for that SQL-based Copilot Studio object to light up, but I think it disappeared. Actually, there was a while where it was grayed out, and because they were still not quite ready to do that, and then I think it might have gone away. So yeah, we were trying on the GP side. We were all interested in it because you've got good structured data there that Copilot with a little training could probably do some good with, but without the SQL connector, that's where our data is. So that would make it a little bit more difficult. So the cloud-based technology is clearly a reflection of that. Now we can use Copilot within and around Business Central. Not something you're really going to get out of GP. So good comparison there.
Okay, so if we could run down maybe some tips or suggestions or things to consider. You ready?
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of Copilot, I was getting ready for our call today, thinking about what 10 tips to talk about, because there's a lot. You talk to anybody else that does what I do, which is help people get there, from here. They will tell you probably 10 different tips that I'm going to give you. So the reality is, don't lock in your information to just one source, although I will provide 10 helpful tips, don't get me wrong. But talk to other people that may have gone through the experience as well, just in case they provide some perspective that's just a little outside of what we have time to talk about today. So, and speaking of Copilot, I took my 10 tips, Brad, and all of us in our Dynamics mindset now, we're kind of fed this whole Copilot thing, and I took my 10 tips and tried to build a presentation with some pretty cool graphics and things. I'll share it with you when we're all said and done, just in case you end up finding that interesting.
Definitely, please share.
Yes, it took me hours and hours, and once I really broke what I needed Copilot to do down into smaller steps, it was able to digest it and work a lot more efficiently for me. So it's interesting, the more you play with some of that new technology, how much easier it is to leverage to your favor. So I'll send you those shots.
That could be a good exercise as well, as how to, that's a whole how to use Copilot.
There's so many great people that are doing that right now, and there's a lot to learn from them.
It is. There's a lot to learn from them, and there's a lot to learn in general with it, because it seems with new models, new technology, it's changing by the minute. So, all right.
Are you ready for tip number 1?
Let's go.
Tip number 1. I'd be curious what you guys think, but I would bet you at least the shiny quarter that you'll probably agree. Work with a partner who understands your business, shares your goals, and has a track record of delivering successful Business Central implementations in your line of business.
Yes.
That's a very good one. You have to understand the industry as much as, not just the application itself. That's very important. Yeah.
And how the business processes work within the application, because Business Central is full of features. You can do quite a bit with it. And with that, you have many different options, not to the point where it's overwhelming or it's not manageable, but there are certain different options that you have. So if somebody can help and equate those options or the functionality to your business process so you can understand it is helpful. That is a wonderful tip.
Especially if you're industry. You don't want somebody that's really good maybe at not-for-profit implementing your manufacturing for the first time. Those kind of considerations are worth answering that question. Is you're going to go and pick a partner or work with a partner, and maybe and I hear other great folks in our sphere talk about this, is maybe your current partner isn't the right partner for Business Central because of either a skill set or a product support match or something. So don't be afraid if your current partner is somebody that just isn't supporting Business Central, but that happens to be the path that you want to take. So there are plenty of great folks out there that can pick up that and help you make that smooth transition.
Are you referencing to like if you're a GP and you want to upgrade and talk to your GP partner, that GP partner may not be the right partner for you? That's a tough conversation to have, right? Especially if they've been your partner for so long. And
it's entirely possible they
around.
Might not be doing Business Central though. Right. They might want to force you into another ERP system in terms of a different direction, and that might not be where you want to go. So there's a variety of reasons. Yeah, they can be uncomfortable, I'm sure, when it comes to, because it's really about picking the right partner. To win the race, you need to have the right team on the field. And if you're going to throw a lot of money at implementing an ERP system, I firmly believe the partner is probably the number one consideration. Crew. Yeah.
No, I think that is one of the things that's often overlooked, is making sure you have someone that can go through that journey with you. It's not just, Kris is a partner, I'm going to go with him because he's a good guy.
Yeah, no, he's good. Don't go with me.
Yeah, that's good.
I can't implement a GP.
You can't even buy Great Plains really.
That's true. You can't
anymore.
Buy licenses no more. That's
you can only really do a subscription for just now until end of life, and even after that, you're supposed to just stop using it. So, if your business is growing, and you want to try to borrow more licenses, you're really not in a position to do that anymore with GP. So, another reason.
So your hands are tied. You really have to decide. You really have to move. Just the decision of where you're going is going to be important part.
Okay. So let's move over to tip number 2.
Tip 2. Audit your existing Dynamics GP environment by surveying and reviewing all of your GP product usage. Keyword, we know that in the Business Central lingo, don't we? Usage.
Yes.
Your ISV or your third-party add-ins, customizations, modifications, and integrations. Anything in or around your Great Plains environment needs to be reviewed, documented, and sometimes you might be carrying some technical debt from a number of different products that you set up and you might have used with GP years ago, but don't anymore. So while you're taking that survey, you're gathering intelligence about what you have that you need and what you have that you don't need. And then that really informs and hones in on some of the other tips, right, in terms of, assessing functionality in future state, what you need, and how you can take what you've got, map it over to Business Central, but also let go. There's probably plenty of things you might have set up and started with and really just don't need anymore. So understanding, getting a really good baseline, and having the team also talk about and ensure that the right features that are really set up and being used need to carry forward into your Business Central.
I like that. I'd like to talk about that a little bit more, because I think this comes with even the implementation. So you're doing an audit and you're talking about looking at the functionality that you're using and evaluating what you're using. But I also like the point that you mentioned, let go. Sometimes it's that, I spent a lot of money on this feature, it has to move forward, without even evaluating, do you still need that feature? And how could you do that process in Business Central without carrying that technical debt? So it's a combination of evaluating why to validate that you need it, and to see if that's still the same need for a process in Business Central. And as part of the audit, what about data? Should they do anything with their data as part of doing their audit?
We have to get through a few more tips here, Brad. But
Oh,
yes,
I'm
we
sorry.
absolutely
Yeah.
have to
No,
do
no,
some
no,
good stuff
just
Hey,
with
I
that
like
data.
I like that analogy. I like that. Don't bring it just because you spend a lot of money. It just made me think about the analogy of a car. When you remember back in the '90s where you could buy the CD player cassette and you can remove the faceplate,
Oh yeah,
right? Like it's so fancy, and you have like a 30
it's not a CD
CD
player, I
Oh,
swear.
right? But then it's like someone saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna get a modern car," but he already has a built-in CarPlay, and all of a sudden, I really want that. I want to take that with me, but it doesn't fit anywhere. So it's another way to look at it from that. I was just thinking about a car the other day.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's that technical debt and those sunken costs of what you put into implementation. You just need to let it go and not get tied to it. But doing a good audit of what you have and the features that you need help you for a better implementation, but also help you make the choice of where you're going to go with your implementation. Again, we're talking GP to BC, but it also just revalidates your decision as well, just to make sure that it's going to support your business. I like that.
Yeah, one of the key things I do, I mentioned the word usage, and you know how I'm a big fan of telemetry for Business Central, which they also call usage. It's really telling you in a Power BI style of format what people are doing, what they're actually using in Business Central. Great Plains doesn't really have that. But there is a script that we use frequently that tells us what tables have data in them. And that allows us to say if they're using sales orders or purchase orders or if they're using analytical accounting. So we can empirically, as GP experienced consultants or people that are helping folks understand how to get to cloud, really extract what the customer is using. They may not know. They might not know. They're used to clicking buttons in the user interface. But when you get into the architecture of the tables and the views and you really see what's really being utilized in terms of how many records and so forth, you get a good sense looking at the data. It doesn't take that long to do that from somebody that's got some experience. So
no, it's good to bring that experience, as you had mentioned, I always like to repeat it just in Brad's terms. Again, it comes with age. Someone who's using the system may not even know what they're using. In a sense, right? They know how to do a job or a function, but somebody who's coming in to work with them, such as yourself, if you say, hey, you're using this, they may not understand technically what that means, but they know, oh, I go here, I enter my customer, my item, my quantity, and I know in Business Central we post it. I'm not certain when you're doing GP, but having someone come in to help you with, say that again?
You still post, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I can honestly say I think I looked at GP once in my career.
Okay. Don't look
just
back.
Looked at it?
Just look ahead. You're in a good spot looking at Business Central. So if you want to see what Great Plains looks like, Brad, thedynamicsmindset.com, right? I have been comparing Great Plains to Business Central for over a year now, and I have actual screenshots with highlights and things. So if people are really curious and they want to see what GP looks like on the sales invoice page versus Business Central, I have a place where you can go. So
that is what is needed, is that guy that you have, the dynamic mindset, is where you can go to see, this is what I'm doing, this is what I would do.
Right.
So we'll go from there. So yes, but it's also to do that audit and have somebody help you with that audit so that you ensure that you cover as much as you can.
Don't miss anything. Don't miss anything.
Yeah.
That's another important part is, it's good to have a couple sets of eyes on it. Make sure you document it, and then move forward with what you've learned.
Okay, great. So let's head over to, what are we on, 3?
We're up to 3 now, Brad. Let's go. All right. Don't discount discovery. Take the time to dig deep into your company's workflow, processes, inputs, outputs, pain points, and financial reporting needs. Talk to everyone. Synthesize their input to build for a better outcome.
I like that. It's so important. It's so important. Go ahead, Fred. It's so important with the discovery.
No, that right there is so powerful. It goes back with nobody has the time to do it the first time, but they have time, more than enough time, to fix it on the tail end. And taking the time to set this up and review it helps for a better implementation.
Yeah,
Chris,
they need to budget. Yeah, that they need to budget that, because a lot of people, SMBs who are coming from a GP, not just GP in general, it could be another ERP going to Business Central, is that they're reliant on just subject matter experts in knowing but not realizing that you do need to do discovery. You need to flesh it out and identify, okay, do you want to bring this over? You don't. Is this a process that we can get rid of? And then can Business Central do something better and more efficient? And they tend to forget that discovery is a preparation method. And so you don't do it sort of on the fly, which we tend to see sometimes, at least when I was working at end user, where they kind of roll discovery doing the setup and configuration, which kind of defeats the purpose. And then you forget, okay, which toggle, switches did we make changes and what were the effects? Because you're discovering at that point. So yeah, you take the time to discover just about everything that you do as a business, and then jump into the implementation.
Yeah, I'll throw a sub tip on that if I can. As you're talking,
So
you're helping me. 3A.
Yeah.
You're helping me remember some things that have been helping me help you. Right? Is some customers have 90% of their business is the same thing over and over, and if you can, as the end user, record yourself doing that. Video record yourself creating this or creating an order and fulfilling it, and if you can show what you do and talk it through, that helps anybody that's about to help you. You don't have to meet multiple times. You can share that video with multiple people, right? You have the chance to do maybe a couple of videos to cover all the real key pieces and then not pull that person out of their productivity loop. So, as you're going through this discovery, tip 3A, maybe have those high intensity, really important functions actually video and audio recorded and saved as part of that discovery process.
That's a good call out. But remember though, because a lot of times people don't always watch the videos, but it's a good opportunity during the discovery. I guess this could be 3B, is that you need to look at your existing SOPs or standard operating procedures, and are they up to date? Right, because sometimes you make one change every 2-3 years, but then there's a lot of things that happen in the last 2-3 years, but no one bothered to go and update those documents. So that's very helpful, by the way, as you transition from GP to Business Central. You can look at some of this as a reference point when you're moving.
I do like the video idea. It's another thing, and I like that because I think you can do a lot with those videos. Maybe you could have Copilot look at the video, but oftentimes when you're going through discovery, I think sometimes when someone's working through a process, they often don't consciously know what they're doing because they're so used to doing their job that they may forget to point something out. Whereas if they actually record the process, you can physically see what they're doing and what they're entering and where they're entering it. And it's by no means saying that they don't know what they're doing in a negative way. It's just you have habits. You go through, I fill in this, I fill in that. And that's why when you go through, and sometimes when individuals are going through testing, they say, oh, by the way, what about this field? Because when you were doing the discovery, if you didn't get to physically see what they were doing, they didn't mention it because they didn't think it was important, or they overlooked it because it's so natural. So I do like the video. I do like the video idea so that everybody can go back and reference that and share it with other team members and make sure it gets relayed properly. So I like this tip.
A trained eye will notice sometimes if it's a customization that they're working through, or if it's a ISV solution that they're working in. So, a lot of, a user, and then, somebody experienced would be able to tell, if it's something that's really core or not core in terms of GP. So that helps them map that for the future.
See, I learned something new.
Every time we speak, it happens.
I learn something new every day. I learn something new every day.
All right. You ready for 4?
I'm ready for 4.
We beat 3 to death, so let's move on to 4.
Yeah.
It's 4's turn for
sub bullet points.
All right. So we did our Great Plains discovery. We did our Workday everything discovery. Now let's perform a thorough evaluation of Business Central functionality, and then map your business to the application by functional area, right? Sales and finance and manufacturing and purchasing, to expose new efficiencies, right? Where things are going to make things better. Focus on that. And then work on filling any gaps along the way. Like, take it as brand new, try to make everything work, and then we'll worry about gaps. So half glass full, not empty, when you're going through that process of evaluating Business Central for the first time.
I'm stuck here. I like this. 4, we're going to beat. You thought we beat 3 to death. 4, we're going to really beat to death, because that's like something that always comes to my mind when individuals are working on ERP implementations. I know everyone talks about, well, stay as out of the box as possible, but I have a different viewpoint on that. Is before you even think you need to make a modification, try to process to see how it works, to see what you can do. Don't get into the, it takes, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent. I know this is your tip, but this is going to set me off, because I've gone through implementations where someone's like, oh, well, they're going through and we need to do, oh, it's too long. It takes too long. There's too many steps. There's this going on. And I always say, give it some time. This is your first time doing it. It's always takes more time. Sometimes the first time you're doing it because you're paying attention, you're doing it. Or once you get the process down, there are some things that you may be able to do to simplify it, versus trying to make a modification out of something before you even enter a sales order, for example. And I'm glad that you say evaluate Business Central first. But now it's going to give me to the other question Chris alluded to. Chris, if I steal it, Chris, I'm sorry.
No, it's not good. I got to comment on that too. It's all good. Go ahead.
Now you have a current partner that you're working with your GP or Great Plains implementation. Now we're saying, let's evaluate the functionality of Business Central. How do you do that? If your your Great Plains or GP partner doesn't know Business Central, right? This gets into that having a tough conversation.
Yeah.
And also the side note to it, I'll let Chris say it, because if he doesn't say it, I'll follow up to it. But how do you go through that process of finding someone to evaluate that process with you so you understand the application?
References are powerful, honestly. I start with references first. Anybody in your network, ask if they're familiar with Business Central. That's a good way to go. In terms of getting up close and personal, you might find some very interesting information when you do. The more people I go skiing with or go to random places, they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of Business Central. So don't be surprised if somebody in your network has heard of it, and they might make a recommendation about a partner. And they say, oh, my partner was great. So, that's one potential avenue. We live in a day and an age where there are a good number of really strong, small, medium, and even large implementation specialists in Business Central. What does your firm need? Okay, so when you want to go look for that partner again, are they in your industry? Do they have a track record, right? What is it that you need out of your partner? Because some folks are going to come in and need help with everything. Others are going to come in and they're already going to have a couple of dev people, or they're going to have a Power BI guy. They're going to have something that the partner doesn't need to bring. So, doing some research and talking. I mean, we're people. I'd say talk to, meet people, meet potential partners. You never know what you'll find when you make a new connection out there. And just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you're breaking up, right, with your old partner. It is worth gathering knowledge at this phase, because GP to BC is a big move. Moving ERP of any kind is a big move. So, while it might feel a little uncomfortable, sometimes we end up having to break up and need to move on. It's just the way that it works, and it's not necessarily that I have hard feelings about Great Plains. It's just that that's not where my investment in the future is coming. It's going to be coming from the cloud-based solution. So let me partner up with somebody who's really going to make, give me some vitality in terms of that for my business, for the future.
Yeah, no, that's true. And just to go back to Brad's comment about, just go play with it, or just go through the entire process. It kind of reminds me of like, and I've shared this with others too, kind of an analogy, right? You can fly a plane and set an autopilot and it'll just fly for you. But if that doesn't work, you need to be able to understand how to do it manually. So if for some reason automation doesn't work for you, or automation is not available for you, you should be able to go through how to do it if none of those work, or if none of those, it doesn't exist yet. So you should be able to go through that not so much of a manual process, but just to go through the steps to get to the results you're looking for. In this case, being able to just post and see what that looks like. But yeah, you're right, Brad. A lot of people overlook that. They immediately want to just like, hey, I want to automate everything. But like, hey, what if the automate doesn't work, right? The job queue stopped working, or Power Automate doesn't work. Do you just stop business? No, you have to understand, okay, if that doesn't work, I should be able to go through the process without that.
And as they learn the functionality, Kris, those are great points to understand why you're doing something or what you're doing as well. But is that also a point to evaluate why you're doing something or if you can improve? I mean, it's the take of, do you need to do it the same way? And how can you extract if you should change the process that you're executing or change the application? Or is that another tip?
That's it's actually part of the journey, honestly. We might start off doing it the way we used to, just to get going, just because we need to, and knowing that maybe there's a phase 2 or there's a new way that we want to start to integrate how we do things, but we have to wait until we switch systems. Like the payables agent, the sales order agent, like that's an example of where you kind of have to wait until you're in Business Central before you can take advantage of the new workflow. So yeah, understand you're gathering information, you're gathering what you have, you're seeing what Business Central offers, right? Before you get into tip number 5.
And then is with that, is it, go ahead. I don't know if I'm going to jump into tip number 5. It seems to be a natural progression, so I'll pause.
I think it's like getting your data. It's evaluate, analyze, and prepare your GP master record data at that point. Cleaner is better at that point in time. So you've evaluated, you know what you're going to keep, harness the good. You know what Business Central mostly is going to need. So now let's start to clean up our item list, our vendor list, knowing what we can take advantage of. Like we can automatically number our customers and vendors and items. That's not something Great Plains has. So your learning process up until you go clean your data will then help you clean your data more effectively.
GP doesn't have customer numbers?
It has IDs, but a lot of people use this fun thing called the logical alphanumeric naming convention, right? It's called American Locksmith. It's AMER 001. And then when the American delivery company comes by, they're AMER 002. Somebody's keying those in every time, Brad. There's no just tab through, get next. Can you imagine?
Just to talk about the data migration, because I remember having to deal with the GP to BC. One thing I noticed is that in GP, the phone number, even the phone number, as simple as that, has pads at the very end. So I've seen someone where just like import it, and then there's like a bunch of like spaces at the very end, and no one realizes like, hey, that's why it's failing, right? Because there's spaces. But from just a human looking at it, it's like, no, there's no. It looks fine. His phone number is correct. No, but there's like 7 spaces. So
or it's all zeros. Like why load all zeros into Business Central?
Yes.
So that's the kind of fine eye you need to go through when I say clean your data. Don't put letters in the phone number. Little things like that go a long way.
Can I add one to that? Or a little bit to it.
This is a big topic, Brad. So
I know
this is actually a make it or break it for a lot of people. Is starting with clean data or starting with dirty data.
Data is the foundation of it, and well, there's a couple things to it. One, you don't need to bring everything over because you're just bringing junk over. I have to use my simple terms. I'm sorry, and never say I'll fix it after. These are things I hear. It's like, oh, let's get into it and we'll clean it up later. Later never comes. As I say over and over again, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. And people forget, if you need to reference something, you still can look at your old system. Yeah. GP is not going away. So if you need to reference historical information for a period of time, you don't need to bring over everything. You need to bring over minimally what you need to run your business and to be able to do your analysis.
That's right.
It's just
get a data warehouse at that point.
Exactly. And with Business Central, with Power BI, you can now
combine them.
Power BI reports that look across both of those data sets and have one report. So it does give you the opportunity not to bring it over. But in data, in my opinion, I'm glad you brought this up. See, these are your tips, but I just have to say it can make or break your implementation, in my opinion. Like, I really believe that what people would call a failed implementation versus successful implementation, outside of a lot of these tips, sometimes can come across of the data that they have. Because why is it doing this? Why is it calculating my sales prices incorrectly? Well, let's take a look at the data. Oh, the system's wrong. No, it's not. It's your data.
So I use I take this part. One of the things that I did on the Dynamics Mindset website last year when I had my broken foot, remember? I was going through table by table, field by field, and comparing Great Plains to Business Central at the master record level, vendors, vendor addresses, vendor banking, all the little nooks and crannies, and recording the differences, like the item character length is different. It's 30 in GP, but it's 20 in Business Central. That can hang some people up. Address codes are 10 versus 15. So there's some significant differences there. And one of the things I enjoyed doing was building a free for download Power BI report that you can point with the parameters to your GP environment, and you can refresh it, and you can look at a lot of the master record data that you might want to dump to Excel and start cleaning. You can dial it in with like a time span, what customers have we sold to in the last 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, to get a sense of how many records you're going to want to need to clean or bring up. So Power BI is a great way to look at some of your existing data and get a sense of what maybe lift might be in front of you on that. But I agree, once you got clean data, you will have a much better chance of having a successful project on time and on budget.
I like it. And don't bring anything with you.
All right. Yeah, right. All right. You want number 6?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Okay. Prototype the new Business Central environment in a sandbox. Perform functional area walkthroughs with the key people. Evaluate configuration options diligently. There could be choices to be made, not by the partner, but by the customer, to ensure that best methods and practices are developed and the users, and that gets users to use the new system. So set up the sandbox with clean data. Perform walkthroughs with people so they can get a sense of what it's like to do now versus then. Draw parallels so they can get familiar with it in a sandbox environment, and anything that's a gap or that that doesn't fit will be a topic of discussion.
Kris, you're laughing. Go ahead.
No, I think it's a going to that one-to-one. It is very important to get them comfortable, right? So I think a lot of people, at least in implementation, the very beginning, again, my experience is that I would stand up an environment, a sandbox environment. In this case, David had mentioned, and get them to log in, get them to start navigating, get them to start be comfortable in how to go get around Business Central, because again, it's a brand new application. And I'm going to go back to the analogy of driving a car. When you're going from one old car, where all the buttons are, right? So quick. And then you go to a new car. A perfect example, when I got into a Tesla, I was like, I don't know how to get it. Like, where do I find this? And it gets so frustrating, right? But it only took me a few days, no different than Business Central. Once you get in there and get comfortable, you can navigate, and then you can learn how to find things. And then to your point, David, I want to be able to turn on my AC, and you should be able to navigate in Business Central. I want to go to my sales order and create one. Simple as that, to get comfortable.
With that, though, when is it appropriate? Well, we have to first classify the types of users you'd have in an implementation, right? But now the users that you're talking about, get the users into the system is what we're saying. Get them to use the system. With the key
decision.
This is what I'm saying is, when is the appropriate time? And that was my sort of the prelude to this of there are different types of users, and we should classify the types of users, because when do you get users into using the system? Because I can look at it to where if somebody can get into it, it can bring frustration if it's a new system, if they feel lost and they can't perform their functions and there's not a way through it, and it's like a stop, go, stop, go. So when is it appropriate to bring the users in to do their functions? And what do you mean by key users?
Every project is a little different, as you well know, right? There can be some very, very small ones, very few people, sometimes a 1 or 2 or 3 user environment. Those are, I don't want to call them slam dunks, but those are fairly straightforward when it comes to these types of discussions. The more modules that you use, the more people that you have, the more locations, and the more complexity that you include in the Business Central environment means that you probably don't want everybody in the discussion. That first pass through, you want to proof the concepts to make sure that, okay, let me do a warehouse shipment and zap it with my scanner and make sure that it works. Does this look right? Did it go to the shipping station? Like, there's some familiarity that will help the key decision makers understand that they've got their supply chain nailed. There's a tight time that comes later, shortly thereafter later, because you will have greased the wheels, right? You set it up, you discussed the module specific behavior. That's a big thing in Great Plains. There's a lot of options in all the modules in Great Plains. You want to do this or turn that off or allow this or don't allow that. That's true in Business Central too. And while we want to get there quickly, I think those are important decision points that need to be kind of pondered as you're doing, do you like this? Do you like that? As you coach and work with the customer to get them to buy in on some of the decisions and just the reasoning why you set it up to only show debits and credits, not both in the general ledger. Like, there's a variety of things that, want to get the buy-in, get the customer to own it. And those walkthroughs with key people, then that information will disseminate down through that training. Well, here's why it looks that way. Here's why we do it this way. And if they sense something coming from a user even later on that doesn't quite fit, with what they had mocked up or walked through, they know they have a toolkit now to call upon to maybe help work that out, resolve that, or to raise a flag and say, we have a new issue. Let's put that on the issues list and track down a solution for that.
I like it. It's important to get them, as you had mentioned, to get the users in there and get them in there at the right time.
It's like getting in the shallow end of the pool, and then you eventually can swim and there's nothing to stand on in the deep end. And that's it's gradual for more complex environments, because a lot of it has to come together. When you're doing a manufacturing environment, you've got a lot of bits and pieces just to get one thing to go through. So, that could take a little bit longer, require more people, but, I see a lot of core financials.
If I can throw in something in there, and again, this is just based upon the experience that I've dealt with in the past, where sometimes from a partner's perspective, sometimes a client coming from an ERP system going to Business Central, they don't know what they don't know. Right? They know their business process, but they don't know ways to improve. So sometimes it gets pretty dangerous when a consultant says, hey, let's toggle this. Do you like it or you don't? And then we say, oh, I like it. But is it the right thing for them just because they like it, right? We have to remember, even from a client's perspective, you have to find a good partner. As you noted, David, at the very beginning, you have to find the right partner that knows the industry, because you don't want a partner that we're kind of going backwards here. I apologize. You don't want a partner to just say yes. Yeah, you like this. You don't. You want a partner to tell you, no, that's not what you don't need to do that. You need to do it this way, right? Yep. Clients should, from my experience, clients love that, because it's like, okay, you're right. I don't know how this application works. I need you to tell me, am I doing it right? Is this the right thing to do? Because you are the expert. You're the expert of the industry in the application. I'm the expert of my business. I need to be more efficient. I just want to put that out there, because it can get wonky if the client, if the end user is just like, yeah, I like it, but it might not be the right thing.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great point. The beauty is that there's so many ways to do so many different things in Business Central, and you have to have that sandbox. You have to do those walkthroughs to really understand what it is that what's going to be your standard operating procedure moving forward, because it could very well be different in BC than it is in GP, because the platform's a little bit different. So,
all right. Yep. I'm ready for the next one.
We're up. All right, let's do number 7. Develop a clear cutover plan for all of the open transactions for master records, such as AP, AR, bank rec, but also those residing in the subledger, such as projects, sales orders that still need to be fulfilled, or manufacturing and production orders that are like halfway started or not even fully completed yet. That has to find its way through a successful cutover as part of the process. The devil's in the details, and sometimes a practice run and some good advanced SQL script preparation, dumping your data from Great Plains before go live can impact a clean cutover, right? Practice dumping OpenAR, practice dumping BankRack, and getting into the templates for Business Central so that then you can go into what will be tip number 8, which is somewhat of it is training. Sometimes you can train on that practice run data. Sometimes you're going to practice on real key it in data. There's a couple of different ways to look at that, but a clean cutover with all the nooks and crannies is going to be really important. Don't wait till the last minute to dump out your quantities from all of your locations with the cost layers and the serial numbers. You need to do that a month or two, at least maybe 3 months before you target a go live to get used to it. Make sure you got the right data.
And to realize you have everything, because those open things are missing. So a cutover is when you're switching from, you're going to basically shut off your old system and turn on your new system. I have 2 questions for you. Mm-hmm. One, when is the best time to do a cutover? Because I hear a lot of people who have suggestions on do's and don'ts. And 2, what are your thoughts on running both systems simultaneously? Like parallel systems?
I'll answer number 2 first. It's hard to run parallel systems in some organizations. It can be virtually impossible to run parallel systems. You might do a sample, a day, a week, a month in the life, and just kind of compare notes, and make sure that you can do here what you do there. But I don't see too many people doing a full parallel these days. We don't have time. Honestly, it's really hard to do that. And we only have so much energy in a day. And as somebody who guides and coaches people on implementations, I say, let's channel that energy into making it go right. Okay. So that's just my theory. All right. So
no, I like that theory. I do like that theory, because if you have 2 systems, one thing to think about is if there's a mismatch or something that somebody feels as an incorrectness, which system's right, which system's wrong, and did the person do it the same in both systems?
Fast-paced, it wouldn't work.
Run the same in both systems.
Yeah, fast-paced environment wouldn't work for parallels. Now, I have seen where if they're just using Business Central for finance, right, you could technically it's pretty straightforward, right? You're just using finance at that point. So yeah, I get that. You could probably do that. But when it comes to like full warehousing and you're shipping a bunch of stuff, yeah, you're right. Nobody has time for that. It doesn't make sense. You're technically driving 2 cars at the same time. It's just impossible. It's not good for you. So yeah. I would not encourage that for parallel testing.
So
in terms of cutting over, when is the best time to do it? When you're ready. Don't do it before you're ready. There's 1.1 does not have any magic to it, to be honest with you. We can load year to date in any system at any given time, even if it's payroll. A lot of challenge happens around 1.1, but it's also a fantastic opportunity at 1.1. So I've seen every month of the year be a go live, but I would say never do a mid-month conversion. Pick the first of the month or the first of your period if you're doing, a 4-4-5 kind of calendar, so that it's a start of something that's important and not midway through. It's just too difficult to reconcile and try to just get it right when you're doing mid anything, really.
So that 1.1 is not that magic date.
The magic is in the cutover plan and having been through all the other steps to make sure people are it's set up, it's working, right? People are trained, they know what they're doing. And then the plan helps get them to cutover without having to do everything twice. So
yeah, it's just 1.1. It just brings me back to like PTSD, where right after holidays, and I think Brad and we had conversations about this, where in my opinion, it's a terrible date to choose in the new year. First of all, everyone's on vacation, and by the time everyone gets back on vacation, they had forgotten a lot of stuff that you would have trained them. On top of that, you have to travel in New Year's. I missed 3 birthdays because it was January. As my birthday's in January, so and it's not fun, and everyone's high stress because everyone's coming from a holiday. The best time to do a go live is, in my opinion, in my experience, is usually the slowest time of the year. And you pick the beginning or end of the month, whatever fits you, but slow times are good. And some people don't have slow times.
Dovetail onto that with number 8, Chris, because number 8 was training, right? You need to make sure people are fully loaded and trained and ready to go at the cutover date. And December, like the holidays, is a tough time to get that. To get people in a classroom, right? To having them validate that they've got their test scripts done, that the customizations work, that the integrations work. Like consultants, like everybody is like a little crazy in December. So maybe avoid that month if at all possible, just knowing that there can be a lot of moving pieces to corral if you really want to do a 1-1.
Lots of vacations, lots of holidays, lots of people concerned about where they're going for the holiday, what they have to do for the holiday, they prepared for the holiday. I think there's enough stress between Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday, and the New Year.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, Brad, would you want to work if that's your favorite New Year? Are you sure you don't want to go live in New Year?
Thanksgiving's my favorite.
On Thanksgiving, yeah. Some people have gone live.
The only thing I'm doing on Thanksgiving is eating. So that's why it's my favorite. Everybody shows up. Christmas or some of the other holidays, depending on what you celebrate. Christmas, everyone's stressed about, did I get a gift? Do I have this? Do I bring this? Do I bring that? Thanksgiving's all like, let's just all get together and eat and have a couple drinks and
that's only 2 months away, Brad. Time flew by.
Oh, man.
It's only 2 months away.
Don't even remind me about how fast time is going, please. I'm starting to get a little nervous about something, and we'll talk about that at the end.
All right. Ready for tip number 9? Are we good? Do you want to talk about training at all? Because that's a one-word tip.
Training's tough. Okay, so I hear there's different training, and I understand every project's different. I agree with you because there's no one size fits all to a project or an implementation. And yes, I don't want to use the word project. And if you listen to the previous episode, the one that's right before this one, you'll learn something about how to look at an ERP implementation, which opened my eyes to how to look at an ERP implementation in the 1998. That's 2000. That's 1998 and 2 is 2000. Then there's 25. So I've been doing this for 27 years. Jeez. And my 27
2
years
decades and a half, almost 3 decades, dude. It makes you feel.
It was eye opening.
Don't give up, Brad. You're doing great.
It's 2025. I still have a long way to go. So, no, but it was eye-opening in a way to look at these projects as the ERP implementations. Okay. So it's definitely worth a listen to. But training, how is it effective to train? Is it train? People talk. I hear things like train the trainer. I hear things like pick a key user to be responsible for each area. It's individuals or subject matter expert. Thank you. Video record training, and then also how can you validate training? I mean, it should someone. So there's a difference between. I'm loading these up for you. Mm-hmm. Sitting down and saying, "Hey, I've gone through training." Is there some sort of validation that should be put in place to ensure that? I don't like to use the word ensure; it's too committal. To evaluate the individual's training.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's a little bit different in how they want to learn. Everybody's different in how they want their teams to learn, and part of actually my next tip is about a project manager. We'll come back to that.
Oh, see, that's I didn't see your list, but it's
no,
I like that you have these all flowing together. It's like a natural progression.
It is, but ultimately somebody has to corral people for training, and because people approach how they learn and how they need to be taught and when they need to be taught and what they need to be taught at different points in times during the process. Some people need to be taught up a little bit early, right? They're key players, they're key people in the project plan. Other people don't need to be really brought on to click things until 30 or 60 days until go live. That's just, why bother? They have to do their day job. They just have to do it differently on day, T minus whatever. So they get training in there is, there's a lot of ways to do it. I recommend, and I've always been a fan, this is why I volunteer so much in the communities, is training, teaching concepts, so that when somebody else is sitting down to learn and do it, that, oh, I remember what that means or how or why. And that makes, I think, the learning experience a little bit better. So I like live learning a lot. We like to do, from a good best practice, is make sure that we book sessions that are of a reasonable length of time, because we do it all remotely these days. Like, it's nice to be on-prem, it's nice to be, and when you can, great. That style of training can be very different, classroom style, or where you're on the shop floor doing some training. It's different wherever your on-prem is. But we only have so much attention to stand and look at the screen and learn, because we've got distractions. The reality is that we need to provide a medium for people to have effective video-based learning, so they can stop it, rewind it, replay it, store those videos in a vault somewhere that any end user now, tomorrow, next year can get in and see and watch those videos and kind of get up to speed. They don't have to be every nip and talk of the whole system, but the idea is to go through the standard operating procedures. Here is how I set up an item. Boom. Here's how I build my bill of materials. Okay, great. Here's how I create a new vendor and go through the approval process. Whatever, we call them user scripts. And that's a common term I think you'll see out there, is these test scripts, where you I'm going to perform a check run today. What does that mean? Okay, you enter the vendor, enter and post the invoice, perform the payment journal process. Like, you can string a number of individual things together in a single test script, just to kind of make sure that they see the quote to cash, or the flow of whatever it is, functional area it is that they're working through. So they can come back to them. Honestly, they can be transcripted. You can even take with Copilot that and build standard operating procedures from the transcripts to say, this is how we do it. This is how we enter the data or report on the data. There's also the ability to flip the script and have one person teach the next person internally, so that one person gets a little bit better. They work as a pair. They form a bond, a shared bond over the newness that's coming with whatever it is they have to figure out how to do together, or report on together, or do on 1-1 whenever they go live. So, there's a lot of different avenues and methods and techniques for learning. All of the above should be considered for an implementation project.
And I have to point out, I'm not going to go on my tangent on page scripting, because that is the best thing that was added to Business Central since the GL account.
That's a great way to bring automation, to this, because that's not something you have in Great Plains. If you want to test something, or you want to, there's a day and a time for pretty much every cool thing Business Central can do. But you have to start trainers in the shallow end, with people until they can feel like the water's warm enough to swim.
Is that exercise different from, like, so we talked about training, right? So training, you may be training a single person or a multitude of people. But that's one training. But then you also have user acceptance testing. Would you feel that those are two different exercises between training and testing? Because you had called out testing as well, which could mean you're testing a functionality that may need to be tested before you train everyone else of how it's used.
Ideally, it's the end user that's doing the job that has the final say, I think, on end user acceptance. Any project manager can do user acceptance testing, check. But did the end user actually do it? That's the person that needs to say that the script is good, my permissions are good, the report shows me what I'm after. So you had asked earlier, and to follow up on this, how do you ensure people are actually doing it? Right, how they're doing their testing and so forth, and their entries. I was proponent of looking at the data, be data driven about looking at information. You can go right within Business Central, you can look at the posted transactions and see how many are being done by people, right? You can go to the table information page and you can find how many records are in certain tables and see how many there are now versus the past. You can also use telemetry and see how many users are logging in on a daily basis and what they're doing on certain days, just to confirm that, yeah, I don't see you've done any purchase orders yet, guys. When is that supposed to happen? You can have that oversight in sort of an overview way. But I grew up in the 80s, guys. You're probably well aware of that. Trust but verify is an important thing to me personally. You know, it's great to know that you say that what is great and it's tested and it integrates or whatever, but I have to see it with my own eyes. I have to verify it myself. I do that with a lot of projects now. I got to do my own record counts and make sure that I'm okay with the great work that you did. And sometimes a second person helps with that whole process.
That I appreciate you bringing that up, because sometimes you just, if you just hand it to them, it's okay, you're ready for testing, go and train yourselves. Like they could tell you in return and say, yeah, I've already done it, but I have to see it. So we have to schedule that time together. I want to see you go through it. It also, it may be an additional tip during training. It's also a good opportunity. If once you know things are working, now you're in a training mode. It's also a good opportunity for them to create documentation, right? I would prefer for end users to create their own documentation, not from me, because it goes back to that muscle memory. If they were to put it together, it will allow them to think, okay, is this process make sense? Where it's not just me building it for them and then I don't have to look at it. I'm going to give it to them and they have to live with it. So they have to be able to be comfortable of making those changes along the way. So that's another thing that you could do as you're going through training, is have them work with a consultant to build the documentation, but that documentation needs to be built by the end user. In this case, it's subject matter expert.
I love that, Kris. That's fantastic. I do see a lot of customers that want us to create the documentation. Like they don't want to put the energy or the time into building it themselves. So that can be a challenge, really, because that's going to eat our budget. You know, being able to, going through and creating all that stuff. Sure, it adds value and happy to do the work, but it doesn't necessarily reinforce the learning process as effectively
That was the key right
as if
there.
the customer did it themselves.
If you the true determination, if you understand something, is if you can explain it to someone else.
Yep.
Right. It's if you can properly relay something, and again, to both your point, it's saves time, saves budget, but also reinforces the learning for the individuals that you have, and they can also put it in terms that's relevant to their business. Right. It's again, you have a partner that's an expert in that industry or that region, all the stuff that we're talking about, but every implementation has different terms. You and I could use the same word and it means something different, but at least someone could explain something that's in the nomenclature of that particular organization, which is good. And you can use PageScript to help to make it easier.
Yeah, exactly. You have tools to do that, but the ownership should be on the end user.
No, absolutely. It's the user should do it. Okay.
Well, let's plug number 9 then, guys. Let's talk about dedicating a project manager to hold everyone accountable, provide coordination support, guard against scope creep, manage change orders, and keep an eye on the budget, as well as provide resourcing in general. And that applies more often than not to both parties, both the partner and the customer.
They both need a project manager.
The larger the project, the more of a manager you're going to need to do all of those things, because again, we all have our day jobs. Maybe you need a third-party impartial person that's a true project manager, actually be a coordinating force on that implementation team. They don't need to necessarily be an expert at ERP, but there's a lot going on and on an implementation. When you've been there, there's a lot of conversations about many different things. And somebody who is collecting, coordinating, storing those training videos, creating those weekly scheduled touch base meetings, they're asking the ISV to come in and do a demo. Like, there's a lot of things that a project manager can really add value and shorten the time to get your implementation off the ground, right? If we have somebody helping to collect and move forward on these things, then they don't get left unsaid, untouched, undone, and you end up essentially in a better place because you have accountability. Somebody who's really coordinating, and people won't walk away because you have to meet and answer to the tasks that were assigned last week, or agree to the tasks that are going to be due next week, or the timeline for when you're available for training. So it just really helps bring it takes the personality out of it and puts it into, all right, we're all on this, we're doing a project, and somebody is a driving force, coordinating all those moving pieces.
There are a lot of pieces, and you hit a couple points. So a project manager is someone who can organize well. They don't necessarily have to be an ERP expert. It helps because they would understand maybe an ERP implementation, but the key factor is they have the personality and the ability to manage tasks, hold individuals accountable, and keep your implementation moving forward, instead of everyone going into a meeting saying, yeah, I'll take care of that, and then it never gets done or it gets missed.
And staying
tough
calm.
job.
Staying calm as a project manager. You're supposed to be the most level-headed person. I've seen project managers, unfortunately, where they just create this fear, and it's like, that's not a good project manager. You have to be motivated and level-headed, and as the most calmest person in the room, because there's a lot of things going on, and emotions usually get thrown out the door, or part of that meeting, and so you need the good project manager. And sometimes, by the way, a project manager should not be only, depending on the size of the project, should not always fall into the partner side. You should have your own internal project manager as well.
Excellent. Project manager number 9. So here we are for drum roll. I forgot how to do the sound effects, but drum roll for number 10.
All right, let's see. Let's do this one. I actually have 2, but let's do number 10.
We can do 11. We can do a bonus. We'll do 10 and a bonus.
Okay.
There you go.
We have a few minutes.
Just 10. Integrations and customizations are often a necessary element of any ERP implementation, so explore the options. Be open to new cloud-based technologies and ideas, including AppSource and per-tenant extensions. Just because it's not on AppSource doesn't mean it's not a kick-ass solution for what you need. So you guys are developers, right? You guys build some amazing stuff. And integrating data in and out of Business Central is very different than Great Plains. We don't have any of the same tools, techniques, methods at all. So somebody who's starting Business Central, a lot of times their first introduction to an integration is going to be one of 2 things: either edit in Excel, or it's going to be, oh, what the heck is a configuration package? Okay. Out of the box, those are your 2 choices, unless you have some technical prowess and you can work with APIs. Great Plains has eConnect. It's all SQL based. These APIs that we have in Business Central, wildly different in terms of how we piece them together and interact with them. So getting to a place where you leverage APIs for integrations and third-party already baked-in solutions to help fit gap or provide industry-specific solutions like lease accounting or manufacturing, or it's hard to say. The sky's the limit. We do a lot of staffing at my firm, staffing and recruiting. We built an extension that's just got tons of customers, and it just keeps on ticking. But these things help fit gaps differently than they did with Great Plains. You don't necessarily need to deal with the flat file import the same way, although you can do a flat file import. But these are considerations. The more your organization is in terms of complexity, the more integrations and customizations you'll need. But don't be afraid of them. Learn about how they're different with Business Central and how they actually afford more opportunities. There are so many places that you can integrate to with Business Central. It just pops my mind, honestly. And we've developed a number of solutions to shipping integrations for fulfillment. We've done sales invoice integrations. There's so many places that we can reach in the cloud for data. And it's a matter of really having a good plan for what needs to be in your ERP, how it's going to get there, and how it's going to be set up in a secure way so that these customizations and integrations don't open up holes, or things in your environment that would be adverse in a particular way. So
excellent. Do we get a bonus one?
I'll give it to you if you want it. Yeah. And it's really simple is when you go live, have a post live plan. Make sure that your partner's sitting with, right? That your partner is there for the first 30 days, that first month end close, because you want to make sure that the AR balances and the AP balances, and you can reconcile your costs. It's very easy to think that the whole budget should be consumed on go live. The reality is you still need to have a bucket of hours for after go live because you do.
No, and listen, it's post go live is important. You spend all this time and sometimes money. Both time and money are an investment for an organization. You want it to be successful. It doesn't stop on go live day. It continues forward. So,
and that's when people are really held accountable to doing their work. Hardcore,
they really
all the
have
time,
to do
every day. And they need us. They need us as a lifeline. They need those documents, they need those videos, they need to phone a friend, right, that is that subject matter expert to help them get through that first purchase order that they forgot how to do because they didn't pay attention at training. So my bonus tip number 11 is definitely don't burn all out of gas before you get to the go live line. Leave a little bit in the tank to make sure that you're going to have ample support to make that first month end close successful. And then it's like flying a kite or anything else. Once it's airborne, the goal is to keep it up there. It's going to do what it's designed to do, but clean data, people trained, clean cutover, all these considerations in terms of tips is really what I would put together to give you, for information for our interview today. So
no, it's great. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us those tips. You're doing a lot of great things.
Yeah.
And also, we're getting close to Community Summit in October. I think it's October 19th to the 23rd. Kris is talking about the time. It's coming up. You're doing some great things there. What do you have in store at Community Summit?
Oh my goodness. I'm busy this year. I have 6 sessions this year at Summit. So
yikes, man.
A couple of them are deep dives. One of the things I truly enjoy in this Dynamics community that we all take part in is meeting people and helping them on their journey. All of you have helped me on mine, and it's just great to be able to give back in the way that I am. But I love working on both the Great Plains and the Business Central side. So across all 6 of my topics, 3 of them are on the business, or 3 of them are on GP side, 3 of them are on Business Central side. All of them talk about Power BI though. So go figure.
Power BI with a different angle.
Talking about our 10 or 11 tips today, my first session is called Modernizing the Dynamics Experience. It's the ultimate GP to BC comparison to help fast track your team. We take a number of the things that we did here and we draw a lot of comparisons in it. It's a 90-minute deep dive. Wow. So I'm hoping to be able to really enlighten folks on that very first day. That's on Monday. I'm going to GP Ask Me Anything regarding reporting. As you know, I really like reporting and analytics. I have another deep dive session on Power BI reports that you need for your GP users. I give them away for free. You can download them, you can take them with you, you can plug them in and start playing with them right away so that you can take that first step in getting familiar with what the technology of Power BI can bring to you. But the last 3 sessions, on the New to BC Ask the Experts session, that was fun. I did that last year too. It's great to hear all the questions, especially people that are coming from Dynamics GP in that New to BC session. I'm in the breaking into the benefits of telemetry for Business Central. I've talked about telemetry a number of times in our call today, and something I'm still very passionate about, just the coolness of what it can tell you. Yeah.
We have to talk about telemetry one day. Is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? That's my philosophical question for you, but we'll table that. Go ahead. Telemetry.
Right.
I think that would be a great session.
Thank you. The last one is, let's see, 20 tips and tricks for maximizing the Power BI report apps for Business Central. I put this together about a year ago. I've given this presentation a number of times, and it's fun. 20 tips and tricks for maximizing the Power BI
I have to
apps.
jump into that one. I have some questions for you.
Hopefully
I don't have a conflict. It's very difficult with schedules. There's a lot of great sessions, a lot of things to do. We're usually running around like crazy during that time. Everybody thinks it's one big fiesta, but it's not the case, unfortunately. Listen, the last one we did was directions. I was in Vegas. I was in bed every night by 10 o'clock, so 2200.
Being on the East Coast, that's easy for us to do, though. When you fly out west, like, you can get to bed early, but you're staring at the ceiling at 4 a.m. So.
Yes,
That's
but I
true.
still was in bed for that reason. But no, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time to share those tips with us. Look forward to seeing you at Community Summit North America this October in
Same to you.
Orlando.
I'm looking forward to your guys' sessions as well.
Yes.
Thanks.
We have some sessions. I have to, do some final presentations. I'm fortunate enough this year that all of the sessions that I'm having, I'm even doing I'm doing an academy class beforehand with AJ Ansari. All my sessions are co-presenting. I'm big on this co-presenting thing. I'm doing with Tanya Brecamisk. We're doing a session on events. I'm doing a session with Duilio from Italy on page scripting, my favorite topic.
Okay.
We did one version of it at Directions North of America, and we did a little spin on it. And then the third session is a panel. Actually, it's one of those ask me anything type things, and we have a panel on it. We have some great talented.
You're busy too, Brad. Man, David, I commend you for doing 6. Man, I did 1 year. I think I did 5, and I was beat at the end of the week, and I did not want to talk to anyone. So this year I'm trying to keep it simple. I have just one session that's ask the experts kind of thing, and then the academy as well. And I'm running that administration of Business Central. So if anyone's listening and you're interested in it,
check these guys out. They know their stuff. These MVPs are great.
Get to it, and it is. No, thank you. Appreciate you sharing your information, and also 6 sessions, as Kris said. I'll tell you, I know firsthand. We're similar in the sense that if you do it, you want to do it right. So the amount of preparation you put into these,
I'll see you Red Bull.
That sounds good. You can serve me that purple drink that you gave me once too. That was good. I don't remember what it was, but
it would be a great time. But if anybody would like more information on tips and tricks for moving from GP Great Plains to Business Central, or Business Central implementation, or some of the great apps that you and your team have put together, what's the best way to contact you?
So hit me up on LinkedIn. Definitely find me at David Laster, LinkedIn. I'm that BC, GP, and Power BI guy. Feel free. I'd love to hear, where you are in your journey, if there's a way that I can help you as well. You can also see me at thedynamicsmindset.com and check out some recent posts that I have been doing for a little over a year now on just trying to put some great stuff out there into the universe to help people on their own GP to BC journey as well. I also work at Greyvoc. We're a full service Dynamics partner up in the Northeast, up near Boston. They're a 31-year-old family-run company with a fantastic group of people to work for. So that's who I am and what I do and where you can find me. But Brad, you guys keep up the great work. Christopher, love your podcast. I told you separately that I think it's great. I walk around the yard sometimes and I'll pick weeds, or maybe go for a walk around the block and I listen. There's so much fantastic content. You have great interviews, and I always walk away learning from your guests. So I appreciate being on again as a second timer. Maybe one time I'll be in the five timers club. We'll see. I always like that SNL skit. But to be honest, I'm grateful for the chance to be able to speak to this. It's a hot topic for a lot of people, and if we can make their journey a little smoother, by all means, I'd like to be a part of that.
No, great. Thank you. We appreciate it.
So much.
Time. Appreciate all that you do, and also your kind words. And we couldn't do it without individuals such as yourself. We have a lot of great members in this community that like to share information, and we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to speak with them and for them to share their time with us. Because again, as I say with everybody, time truly is the currency of life. Once you spend it, you can't get it back. And any minute somebody spends with us, they're not doing something else, and you don't get that back. So we value that for you and everyone else. And I look forward forward to seeing you in October, but I'm going to see you in October before Summit as
That's
well.
true.
So we
Next
have this
week.
date locked in. So
There you
in a couple
go.
weeks
Okay.
we'll be getting together.
That'd be
Look
great.
forward to seeing you then. Talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao.
All right, later.
Okay, ciao.
Bye.
Thank you, Kris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is Matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.